welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through this today because we are unpacking one of the most profound, literally mind-bending pieces of ancient text ever written, the prologue to the Gospel of John. Now, if you're used to biographies that start with, a simple birth story or a family tree, well, get ready to shift your perspective. John doesn't give us the horizontal sweep of a normal human life. No, he gives us a vertical plunge. We are diving straight down from the highest reaches of the cosmos, right into the dirt, the grit, and the physical reality of human existence. It's a breathtaking descent, and we're going to unpack exactly how and why the Word became flesh completely rewired the ancient world.
Okay, let's dive into this. To really grasp this text, we have to put ourselves directly in the shoes of the people who first experienced it. I mean, think about it. How do you speak of a man you physically touched, ate meals with, and watched die as the exact same power that spoke galaxies into existence? That is the massive historical dilemma we're exploring today. The early church didn't just invent the idea of the incarnation in some dusty philosophical laboratory. They collided with it as a totally unexpected real-world problem. They had a first-hand experience that completely shattered their existing categories, and they somehow had to figure out how to explain it. So, over the course of this brief explainer, here's our roadmap. We'll cover 1. The early church's problem, 2. Unpacking the Logos, 3. The hero's radical descent, 4. The cosmic meta-narrative, 5. The scandal of particularity, and we'll wrap up with 6. The daily incarnation challenge.
All right, Section 1, the early church's problem, locating the text. You see, John's prologue is essentially a theological meditation shaped as a narrative, written for believers who were caught right between two worlds. The early church, like we said, ran into the incarnation as a very real, undeniable problem. The disciples were literally backed into a theological corner by what they witnessed with their own two eyes. They were forced into a choice, either drastically reduce who Jesus was to fit their old, comfortable worldview, or completely explode and expand their understanding of God. Because of what they saw, they chose the latter. And you can absolutely see why they were so conflicted when you consider the impossible things Jesus did. That just broke all their paradigms. He forgave sins, which in the Jewish thought of the day was strictly a God-only prerogative. He calmed literal storms with just a word. He even outright claimed existence before Abraham. These actions and claims completely shattered their old categories and basically forced the writing of the text we're looking at today.
Moving on to Section 2. Unpacking the Logos, a little Greek word study.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how John explains this expanding understanding of God. He reaches for a very specific, highly charged Greek word, logos. This wasn't just a simple unit of speech. In Greek philosophy, the logos was the rational principle that ordered the cosmos. It was the mind behind matter, the logic holding the very stars in place. John borrows this massive, abstract philosophical concept to blow the minds of his listeners. He's taking an abstract principle and giving it a heartbeat.
This brilliantly illustrates the dual impact this text had at the time. To the Greek ear, John is saying that the unapproachable ordering intelligence of the universe, which was supposed to be pure and far removed from physical matter, became a man that bleeds. It totally upended their intellectual world. But to the Jewish ear, the echo goes straight back to Genesis. The creative speech, the word of God that called light from darkness, now has a face, a voice, and scars. For a Jewish listener, inserting a person into the opening words of Genesis didn't just stretch monotheism, it exploded it from the inside out.
Section 3, the hero's radical descent. We're tapping into the archetypal layer here.
What John is doing here taps into a deeply archetypal narrative pattern. In traditional myths, whether you're looking at Prometheus or Odin, the hero descends to the mortal world. The Logos does the exact same thing. But here is the radical inversion. The traditional mythic hero descends to gain something, right? Knowledge, power, glory, they come to conquer and rule. But the Logos in John 1 descends to lose. He empties himself. He doesn't come to conquer by force, but to serve and ultimately to be crucified. The mythic longing was real, but the execution was completely upside down from human expectations. To understand the impact of this today, we can look at it through the philosophical lens of thinkers like Jordan Peterson, who points out what this actually demands of the individual. If the ultimate reality became actual physical flesh, meat, muscle, and blood, then the material world is not some distraction from the divine. It is where the divine meets you. We have to stop treating the sacred as this distant abstraction that's totally separate from our physical bodies, our daily routines, and our actual work.
Section 4.
The cosmic meta-narrative. This is the theological spine. Let's move to and see how this builds, because John's prologue isn't just a beautiful poem, it's the theological spine of the entire Christian worldview, laid out in 4 sequential epic movements. Step 1 is creation. The Logos is the agent of existence. Creation is literally a speech act of love. Step 2 is the fall. The darkness tries to snuff out the light. This isn't just bad behavior, it's a cosmic resistance to God's presence, though it cannot defeat the light. Step 3 brings redemption. Actually, scratch that. It's not just a moral repair job. It is an ontological transformation into an entirely new family lineage. And finally, step 4, new creation. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. That word, dwelt, literally means he pitched his tent. The Logos connects the very beginning of the universe directly to this new creation, happening right here in the flesh.
The theologian N.T. Wright offers a truly fascinating perspective on this movement. The arrival of God's kingly rule didn't look like what anyone expected. It wasn't military conquest. The kingdom breaks in not by overpowering the world's systems, but by undercutting them. It arrived looking like a baby and eventually a king on a cross, proving that the ultimate power isn't force, but self-giving love. Section 5, the scandal of particularity. What this text costs us. So, the crucial point is that this introduces what we might call the hard edge of the text. Modern spirituality is often very comfortable with a vague, universal cosmic energy. It's polite, it's sanitized, and it doesn't really make many demands on us. But John refuses to leave the Logos in the abstract. He pinned the divine to a particular time, a particular person named Jesus, and a particular brutal physical death. This is what C.S. Lewis famously called the offensive scandal of particularity.
The great writer G.K. Chesterton framed this paradox perfectly. He said, "A God who is everywhere vaguely is a God who is nowhere concretely." The argument here is incredibly sharp. A God who is unwilling to enter the actual historical mess of human life is a God who is fundamentally uninterested in actual human beings. The incarnation demands that the universal becomes concrete, and that leaves us with no safe, comfortable middle ground.
Finally, Section 6, the Daily Incarnation Challenge, our Formation Challenge. We've traveled from the outer reaches of the cosmos down to the absolute ground level, your life today. Drawing on the practical lens of Dallas Willard, I want to challenge you with an incarnation audit. Stop looking for the divine only in the obviously spiritual moments. If the Logos became flesh, then look for the Logos in the mundane. The meal you just ate, the routine conversation you had, the emails you sent for work, the physical, sometimes uncomfortable body you inhabit. This is exactly where the ultimate reality meets you. So here is your challenge for today. Take one physical act, washing a dish, walking down your street, shaking someone's hand, and do it with full intention. Do one thing today as if it were the most important thing in the world. Why? Because the word that spoke the galaxies into existence is present in every small physical act of love. It might truly be the most important thing you do. Let's leave it here with this final, powerful anchor statement to reflect on. The light that lit the stars did not come to blind you. He came to be born, to be touched, and to be known in the most ordinary flesh of an extraordinary life. The Word did not stay in the heavens. He showed up at your address. Will you open the door?